Welcome to Facts TV News, where everything is true.
We're here on the premises of China Harbor Engineering Company, where sometime after 11 last night, gunshots were heard. A search was conducted of the area. We have so far confirmed that 2 security officers were shot and killed at this location. One of the officers was placed in the trunk of a motor car. The other one, the body was left in some bushes. There's a 3rd security officer who is missing, and we are still on the scene with the detectives, and we're searching the area trying to identify whether or not that person is still here. We have found his radio and vest, but as you can appreciate in this area with the plantation heights and the bushes behind, so we're still combing the area to see if we can identify if that person is still here or the body. We're hopeful that we will find him alive.
Police constable among suspects implicated in Manchester robberies. An authoritative source has confirmed a report on radio that a police constable is in the custody in relation to an ongoing investigation into crimes, including a double murder and armed robberies in Manchester in recent days. Reporters understand that the arrested policeman is not assigned to the Manchester division. 4 suspects, including 2 teenagers, were apprehended by the police in a roadblock minute after the latest robbery of a supermarket in Ports on Friday night. A Chinese national who operated the supermarket and another man were killed by gunmen during the robbery. Transport Minister commits to training program for PPV operators. President of the Transport Operations Development Sustainable Services, Exxon Newman, is advocating for more training and certification of public passenger vehicles PPV operators. Speaking at a Stakeholders Road Safety conference recently, Mr. Newman said training would help to reduce the road fatalities and traffic breaches.
Road safety is a major problem, and it's something that we have to look at seriously. What causes crashes on our street? What causes accidents? Those are the major problems, the psychological considerations there. We got to continue to be a part, the driving force for road safety, but it comes with certain things, and that is that the government of Jamaica must put in place the entities, structures for a safe environment. Training and development of the sector. I would like to see, Minister, if you go to Transport Authority to renew or to get a new license, you should produce a certificate that you have been trained. I believe that is a major staple that should be utilized in the public transport sector.
President of the Pharma Taxi Association, Sheldon Malcolm, agreed. He suggested that the government helps to fund the training.
I take note that you're embracing the training program for our drivers, and it's quite some to do this undertaking. We have a representative here from Team Jamaica. The cost to train a driver is $18,000. So I'm making a suggestion to you to give us some funding, subsidy for these drivers. I don't think you can sponsor all 30,000 drivers, but if you can come up with a program to say first 10,000 drivers, you pay $8,000. The government is subsidizing the payment for training of $10,000. That would be welcome.
In response, Transport Minister Audley Shaw lauded the suggestion, noting that he will bring it to Cabinet for deliberation.
The concept of certification is something that we have to put on the table and don't take off of the table until everybody who is in the industry of public transportation have some form of certification. Very important, and it is something I am working on, and it is something that I like and commend Todd's for putting forward. We have to work together to make sure that everybody who is driving on the road in a public passenger vehicle develops respect for the work that they do and passengers that they're conveying. That is something that I'm going to put formally on the table. And yes, it will take some time, but if we start somewhere, we will end up at a better place.
Crawford says Holness is at constant war with the Constitution. Opposition Senator Damon Crawford has accused Prime Minister Andrew Holness of constantly trampling on the Constitution. Crawford made the accusation as he hit back at criticism from Government Senator Matty Samuda after Samuda accused political actors of impeaching the character of career soldier retired Chief of Defense Staff Lieutenant General Rocky Middle. Middle was served with Jamaica Defense Force for nearly 40 years before retiring in January this year, was tipped by Holness to be the next cabinet secretary. The announcement of his appointment was made in September, and Meade said he looked forward to serving in the post. However, his name was soon withdrawn following reports that he had not served as a civil servant. Meade was not eligible to become the cabinet secretary, as this would be unconstitutional. Both Crawford and Samuda, who regularly describe themselves as being good friends despite their different political views, stated their opposing position on the matter recently when they made their contribution to the state of the national debate in the Senate. Samuda was particularly peeved at his perceived poor treatment of Meade by political operatives. The government senator, who spoke first, said, "Mr. President, Jamaica needs good, capable, patriotic public servants to allow this country to progress towards prosperity. I mentioned two this morning. I have, however, worked with hundreds and met thousands." Samuda then pointed to two matters which he said have been diverge effect on the public service in recent times. The first matter is the reclassification exercise being undertaken by the Minister of Finance and Public Service. This massive undertaking reflects the largest amount of any administration since independence to appropriately compensate our civil servants for their work. It is no easy task. Continuing, Samuda said the second matter referred to the recent treatment of a 40-year-old veteran of the public service, Lieutenant General Rocky Middle, portrayed by political actors. "For me, it was perhaps the lowest political display I have witnessed. Let my disgust be registered in the Hansard." When he responded, Crawford laid the blame on the perceived bad treatment of Middle squarely at the foot of the Prime Minister. He noted that it is against the Constitution to appoint a person to position of Cabinet Secretary if she or she has not previously served in the civic service. "What I will not take, Senator Samuda, is being tried for standing up for the Constitution, for which we were sworn to protect. If there is any revision of history, it is really being made by the government side, and in particular the Prime Minister." Crawford said he had no doubt that Middle was a true servant of this nation. "I don't know Rocky very well. I can't remember having met him, but in truth, he should not have been put in the position to be publicly criticized. You were the ones who took the step to put him in a position that it was not within the Constitution for him to be put in such a position," he noted. "The person who should be tried is the Prime Minister of this country that has taken no less than 5 steps to abuse the Constitution, for which he is the chief protector," Crawford stated. "He Holness is at a constant war with the Constitution," added Crawford, before reading off a number of times the Prime Minister took decisions which he said were subsequently deemed by the court or otherwise to be unconstitutional. This includes the pre-signed letters Holness sought to use to remove 2 senators from the upper chamber when the Jamaica Labour Party formed the opposition, and the landmark National Identification and Registration NID system, which saw the original law being struck down by the Constitutional Court for violating the constitutional rights of Jamaicans. Rocky Ascension had not been withdrawn based on the unconstitutionality of that. The period of probation that he Holness proposed for the Chief Justice, Brian, had to be withdrawn, and so the constant disregard didn't end there, because it continued with the state of emergency, which the Jamaica Labour Party continues to claim is not against the Constitution when the courts have found otherwise, said Crawford. According to him, where the concern should rightly be is with the Prime Minister's constant abuse and constant disregard of the Constitution. Please remember to subscribe, like, share, and click the notification bell.